I never started one of these early. But you guys deserve it. Good. Good. What about us? All right. Good afternoon, everyone. As you can see, I'm once again joined by some friends for a very exciting announcement that's going to help Kentucky's kids. I built an Education First administration because I believe the investment we make in our children today determines the strength of our economy tomorrow. That's why I fought so hard for PreK for all, because PreK will strengthen our workforce, save Kentucky families money, and start our kids' education off strong. Every child, each of these children deserves a strong start. And every Kentucky parent deserves to go to work knowing their child is safe and getting the best education. Right now, over half of Kentucky's children aren't ready for kindergarten. Some never catch up. That's unacceptable. And the solution is clear. It is PreK for all. Unfortunately, the Republican supermajority refused to fund PreK for all this session, turning a no-brainer, something that's good for all kids, somehow into a partisan issue. We won't accept that outcome because Kentucky's kids deserve better. So do our families who need childcare, our businesses which need a strong workforce to remain successful. Team Kentucky listens, and we're delivering a phased, responsible path toward every child having access to PreK. In May, I signed an order launching the Team Kentucky PreK pilot programs in Robertson and Rockcastle counties. Our goal was to start in 2 counties, with Robertson being the smallest county in the state and its nearest child care nearly an hour away. And from those 2 counties, we wanted to grow to more. Today, we're taking that step forward with Franklin County, right here in Frankfort, and Glasgow Independent Schools in Barron County. The children with me today are from both of those communities, and they'll be some of the very first Kentuckians getting a strong start through PreK for All programs. Also with us is Franklin County Superintendent Mark Kopp and Glasgow Independent Superintendent Chad Muhlenkamp. These are 2 leaders, along with their boards and their communities, that are prioritizing the education of our children, putting it first and everything else after. I am grateful to them, because nothing should come before doing right for our children. I want to thank them for being here today. And I'd like each of them to come up and say a few words about how PreK is going to make a difference in Frankfort and in Glasgow. We'll start with Franklin County Superintendent Mark Kopp.
Thanks for driving so far.
Long trip. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Kopp. I'm the superintendent of Franklin County Schools. And our motto, our promise that we make to the community is that every student succeeds. And we're here today to start this initiative, to embrace this pilot, because again, we are promising our community that every student will succeed, and this will get them on the right path. I'm so proud to stand here today as superintendent of Franklin County Schools. Over the next 2 years, this pilot will serve over 1,000 students in our community. And think about that. That's 1,000 kids that will have reduced behavioral issues and disciplinary issues, and less that will be chronically absent. This is not a hypothesis or an educated guess. Decades of research and the examples of states around us show that kids who attend high-quality preschool programs, like the one we're launching today, do better and they go further. I've been in education for 33 years, so I've seen a lot over my time. And I've also seen during this time that PreK is the one thing that we can point to that has lasting and immediate impact. In Franklin County, we have a lot of students whose first experience with education isn't until kindergarten. If we consider K through 12 education to be a marathon, why on earth wouldn't we want to start at preschool to give them that head start on this marathon? That's why it's so important to get this done. It's why it's so important that we launch this pilot program in Franklin County Schools. And we're blessed to have been chosen to be part of this. Fewer than half of Kentucky students are ready for kindergarten. In Franklin County specifically, fewer than 40% of our students are ready for kindergarten. And that's not acceptable. And we're going to change that. We need to make sure that every student has a chance to succeed. And today, we're taking action. So I'm over the moon excited for this pilot program. I can't tell you how excited I am. And I can't thank Governor Beshear enough for his leadership in this effort and putting public education first. We're going to show the whole state how it's done. Then we'll get students started off on the right foot. We will lower costs, and we're going to help parents get back to work all across Kentucky, all across Kentucky, excuse me, or Kentucky, either one, really.
I needed that for one day.
That's it. There you go. This is going to be a win-win-win. We've often heard of a win-win. This is a win-win-win. Parents, kids, and of course, school districts. And now I'd like to turn it over to Chad.
Good afternoon. I'm Chad Mollenkamp. I'm the superintendent of Glasgow Independent Schools. I'm going to start off by thanking Governor Beshear, his leadership, for always making Kentucky's youngest learners a top priority. I'm honored and excited that Glasgow Independent School District has been selected to help lead the way on this initiative. In Kentucky right now, fewer than half of the kids come to kindergarten ready to learn. Fewer than half. So it's clear we need pre-K for all. Preschool is the single most effective way for every child to get the start they need. We know from the study after study and our own personal experience, the first 5 years are crucial. If a student is behind on day one, we spend years playing catch up. Programs like this help all students have the reading, math, and social skills they need to start school. This initiative will help put a stop to that gap before it even begins. Pre-K for all in Glasgow will provide kids with a strong foundation in reading, counting, and getting along with others, those important social skills. This lets teachers spend less time on remediation and more time on teaching. As an educator, I've seen for myself the immediate and lasting effects of preschool. I've seen that children who attend preschool do better in school, graduate high school, and will do better in their future success. And for the parents in Glasgow, Pre-K for All will provide a much-needed peace of mind and financial relief. Governor Beshear has said Pre-K for All is the people's plan. This advisory committee heard directly from thousands of Kentuckians, and this pilot program reflects that. Local school districts will run these programs with local needs and front and center. With school districts leading the way, we can make sure we have the staff, facilities, and curriculum in place to deliver on a promise of a world-class education for every kid. That's why getting this done is so important. With fewer than half of Kentucky's kids that are ready for kindergarten, we need to act. We need to make sure every student has a chance to succeed. That's why I'm proud to stand with Team Kentucky as we build a brighter future, one 4-year-old at a time, first in Glasgow and then in statewide. Thank you.
Thank you all. These pilot programs are a win-win for everyone, especially these kids that are right here. If you need a face of why we do this, why I've tried to be innovative, how I've tried to find these dollars, it's not for any political win or loss. It's because each of these kids deserves the very best. They deserve the brightest possible future. They deserve to not start behind. They deserve to have every chance to grow into the very best human beings they can be. And let me tell you, I trust our pre-K teachers that are out there across the state to do a great job in getting them off to the right start. And it's just one piece to a larger puzzle. Through the now 4 announced initial pilot programs in the Team Kentucky Early Learning Center, opening this September, we will be providing pre-K and childcare to nearly 3,000 children across our Commonwealth that might not have had access to it before. These families across multiple communities can now access quality education, childcare. They can save money and get back into the workforce knowing their kids are safe and cared for. And our plan is to continue to increase this access. Through these announcements, we've now created more childcare slots than the legislature did in House Bill 6. In fact, we created more childcare through executive action than what we've seen come out of the sessions in years. A family's paycheck should never determine a child's future. Up to 70,000 Kentuckians are currently unable to work because they lack affordable childcare. While we continue to see some ignore this data, we're going to continue to take action. As governor, my job at the time I have left is to do as much as I can to move this state in the right direction for as many people as possible. And on days like this, when I get to see the very face of the future we're trying to build, it's worth every obstacle we push through. It's worth every challenge we have to go up against. This is truly why I wanted to do this job, to create a better world for my kids and these kids, and ultimately the next generation of Kentuckians. We're building a new Kentucky home where every child's going to get off to a good start. All right, we'll now take questions, but I want to do this in two ways. We'll take questions on this, and then let's excuse these kids that have been really patient. And if y'all want to ask me other questions that they shouldn't have to sit up here for, nor these educators, then we can do that. So anybody want to start us off on this pre-K pilot announcement?
How did you land on these two school districts?
These two school districts were ready. They had been active. We were initially looking for an independent school district that we wanted to make sure we worked with. And then the chance to work here in Franklin County, knowing Mark and his leadership, getting to see it firsthand through tough times and other different programs we run. Doing it here is going to let every legislator during this session be able to see firsthand what quality pre-K looks like, what it's doing for these kids, and then hopefully it becomes about the kids. We've got two great leadership groups. We have two wonderful boards of education that are here, and I don't say this enough. Thank you to the board members. Being a member of a board of education ain't easy. Everybody knows where you live, and everybody brings their gripes to you, including me, because the year-round schedule of Frankfort Independence is kind of challenging for us. And so we've had board members that have had to listen to me at a baseball game, lobby them unsuccessfully on my head. So thank you to all the board members for what you do. Yes?
How much are these private programs going to cost, and where is the source of funding coming from?
Yeah, we'll get you the breakdown for each one. The funding source comes from flexible federal funds that a governor dictates how they're spent. That's under federal law. They're WIOA funds. They are meant to increase the workforce. And we have direct studies that show that pre-K for all is one of the best ways to increase the size of the workforce and to get parents back in the economy.
Are there any other regions or districts that you're looking to target?
Yeah, let me also add on that, because some have thrown it out, that this money can't be used for healthcare, for instance. Seeing different legislators say, wait a minute, you're funding pre-K for all in these areas, why can't you use that for some of the cuts in Medicaid? Legally, under federal law, the dollars can't be used for that. They can be used for this, and in fact, we might have had to return some dollars to the federal government if not getting this program up and running. So think about that. We're able to use those dollars that are sent to us, and these kids are able to get a good start. We're going to be looking at the next fiscal year as the federal funds come in and see what our ability is to expand. We look forward to continuing to expand. I do want to point out that there are innovations going on in some other school districts that we don't necessarily directly fund, like Clark County, that are bringing together groups to do it too. So I want to make sure that we are supporting all of those efforts on the local level, through the business community coming together, everywhere that we provide an extra slot for a child to get pre-K as a win.
To that point, is there a ceiling to how much of these funds you can spend towards these kids? Do you have a sense of, at most, how many districts or how many kids could be impacted?
I think with a year and 4 months left in my term, what we're going to see without action in this next session of the General Assembly, which I hope we'll see, that would certainly take it off the table for next year, where I hear there are some important races. But I hope that there'll be that action. If not, we're probably looking at a couple of extra pilot programs on top of this. But we should not have the haves and the have-nots in school districts, and I know these superintendents agree. They'll take it because their job is to provide for these kids. But I know they and all these school board members strongly believe that this should be available to 4-year-olds across the state.
Given your limited time left in office and the Republican majorities, could you speak to the broader idea of doing these programs, and do you ever worry about when you leave and they go away maybe?
I can't imagine a legislature taking away a program providing an education to a 4-year-old. Not refusing to create it, which is what's happened right now, but actually taking it away when it's paid for by federal funds, that this is the best purpose that they can go to. But listen, maybe when I'm gone, it won't be viewed as a win or a loss. If that's the case, if that's the reason why it hasn't passed politically, that's pretty sad. Because these are 4-year-olds we're talking to, they're not registered to vote, I don't think. I used to be Attorney General, I hope you all have registered to vote. And can't vote. These kids aren't Democrats or Republicans, and frankly, I don't care which their parents are. And we just want the best for them. And I hope everybody will come around and see that. This should be an expression of humanity, of something that government can come together and just say, look at these kids, it's the right thing to do. Let's make sure we do it statewide. Okay, thank you all so much for joining us. They're gonna do a t-shirt exchange in the hall while I answer questions about other topics. Y'all don't wanna be on the stage.